Greetings. Welcome to the Asana Kitchen. So today we're going to be focusing on the opposing forces of Upavistha Konasana B. What you're working on, it's a very common and important asana theme, which is using your limbs as levers to support your spinal position and using your limbs as levers to create a spinal gesture. So your hands, feet, your arms, legs, they're often oppositional, going against each other in order to help you clarify your spinal line. And this is a classic example of that. So you kind of have to make a game of it, a tug of war. And so partly you're thinking of your legs going, so they go to a certain width, and then they project out into space. So they really reach with a mighty extension. And that if they had their way, you would go, whoa! Okay, it's that strong. And they even have a weightedness. So it's kind of like they're reaching into space and they're heavy, and if they had their way, they would go long and down. Okay, and then that gives the perfect recipe for the arms, which go, hold on. Your arms match the reach of your legs, catch a hold and pull back. And then that's where you get the dynamic balance point, because you're trying to get forward onto the back edges of your sitting bones. Okay, so you're not back when you do that one. You're forward, right onto the sitting bones. It's like Navasana. It's exactly the same positioning through the the pelvis and spinal line. So you're trying to lengthen back on the diagonal. Okay, so look, you catch, and you reach away through the legs, and they pull you forward onto your sitting bones. And then you pull back with the arms, and then trust those limb levers to lift the chest and throw the head back. So it's a balance zone. And it'd be better to actually fall than to be there static, just being there. You're taking a chance. It takes sort of a boldness, a whoop, to find that dynamic, immovable spot. It's on the edge of imbalance that you find the greatest point of stability. So that state of nirodha, cessation of thought, you can find it in that dicey middle position between those opposing forces. Suppose the backs of your legs are tight and you can't actually get onto your sitting bones with straight legs, okay, and catching your sides of your feet. Okay, so some alternatives, and each has their own advantage. So one is to bend your knees. Okay, so you could bend, but if you're bending, and use the bent knees to get onto the sitting bones, but then you're still playing with the opposing forces. So you're pushing your foot into your hands and pulling back against that and slowly lengthening to work your position. Okay, so you won't just stay there with bent knees. You're extending any amount. Okay, but then the problem with that, it satisfies most of the conditions for the posture, except for the brilliant leg extension. Okay, so you could also grab a different part of your foot. Grab down lower and do the pose. And then you can get the legs straight, get on your sitting bones, and work those opposing forces. Okay, or you can catch ties. So if you catch a tie, you go around the ball of the foot, not down lower, and you make sure you still have straight arms. So you want to only use as much of the tie as necessary. Okay, so you'll reach and work. Hope that gives you some ideas for working on the pose. Namaste.